Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 37.
This is a good episode.
How do you know? We just turned the camera on.
Well, that's true to film the intro, but the rest of it's already pretty much done.
Well, that's true. That's true. And our show and tell this time focuses on a pond rescue that we did a couple of weeks ago.
Yep, that was crazy. But the most important part of this episode is my interview with our brother-in-law, Rob Kendall.
That's right. Our second interview with a live studio audience.
That's right. You and your sister Meredith were the studio audience.
Yeah, that was really fun. It was a good interview. I think everyone's going to enjoy it.
I think so too. Rob's done a lot of cool stuff, and we really should just get into it.
That's right. Let's do this.
Well, I'm excited to show everyone the interview that I did with Rob. I think it's going to be really great. Yeah. But let's jump into the show and tell really quick. So before we start showing you stuff, we had a call from a customer. We had done some work for them a while back. We did not build this pond, this water feature, but they said, hey, we got a leak. We can't figure it out. So leaks can be simple. Leaks can be complicated. They can be relatively inexpensive or very expensive to fix, depending on what's going on. And, until we get over there, we really don't know. And so we get over there and they have a pretty cool setup. There's a modest but nice waterfall, and then a small pond, and then the pond dumps into a stream that goes under a little bridge. It's sturdy and you can walk on it, but it is very small. And then that goes into another small pond about the same size as the first one. And then just if you care about the technical part, then there's a skimmer with a pump in it that draws water in out of that second pond, sends it up to the top of the waterfall, and it just recirculates. And they have some nice fish in the top pond. Well, they didn't know where the water was going. They just knew that they had a problem. And so we started out by checking out the waterfall, which is a common problem. No leaks in the waterfall. Then we get down to the stream and I see there's just a lot of stuff hanging over the stream. A lot of ground cover and a lot of, it's got kind of a cool woodland vibe, which is nice. But as I really look at it, I see, there's roots from, there's a wisteria that's part of all of the foliage that's there. There's all kinds of ground cover. There's some big trees. Well, sometimes these plants will send roots in and they just start sucking water out of the water feature.
Like, hey, I just hit the lottery.
And
this is great.
Most of the time they don't go through the liner, which is good.
Right.
And in this case, they did not. But
we have seen that.
You'd be amazing. I mean, it starts out as a tiny little root that goes in, and then because it's happy, it grows and it grows and it grows and it grows. We'll show you some of the stuff we got out of there. It was crazy, but we started pulling the stuff out of the stream, and this little bridge, I knew there was stuff under the bridge too. So we couldn't really get under there and work. And I wasn't sure how it was all fastened in.
Right.
So you got on one side, I got on the other, and I thought we were going to pick it up at the same time. I ended up picking up my end, and you didn't pick up your end, which was probably good because I said, snake. And under your end of the bridge, it was a garter snake. He
was actually beautiful.
It was harmless. Yeah. He was a little lighter in color, and he was pretty. We did get a picture.
We did get a good picture, yeah.
He got the heck out of Dodge pretty quick, and we just let him go. Of course,
I felt like he had some gold on him too.
Yeah,
though. He was
kind of
really
golden,
beautiful,
but he was obviously just a garden snake and harmless. But you want those around to keep the rodents under control and everything.
Yeah, you yelled snake. I froze, and I was waiting for the next word, which was going to either be poison, like venomous, or harmless.
Yeah, I said non-venomous.
Yeah.
Non-venomous,
yeah.
but there is a snake.
Yeah, I was fine.
So, yeah. Well, because we had started pulling roots and things out, roots will act as a filter too, which you think is good until it causes a bigger problem. But as we're pulling these things out, all the dirt and all the waste and things that are getting trapped by these roots come loose and go into the water, and the water gets pretty muddy pretty fast. So, so let's go ahead and look at what we found after we removed the bridge.
Okay.
All right, so you can see the water is very muddy. There's the top pond, and here it is flowing down into this stream area, and it's literally just flowing over the edge of the liner and down into the yard, right where the bridge was, conveniently.
Right.
I don't think that there's any specific reason for that. You can see the blue towel over there. That's where the homeowner had told us it's always wet here, and the water was... It could have been spilling out anywhere. I think it was just a coincidence that it was spilling out under the bridge. The bridge wasn't causing the liner to be low there or anything. It just happened to be that way. Apparently the snake likes to get drinks under there.
Yeah.
But
super happy.
But that's what was happening. So it was good that we found it, but why? Why was the water going over the edge there? And it was because of all of the roots and things that had grown into the pond. They basically filled up in the stream, they basically filled up that whole bottom part of the stream. If the stream is from here to here in terms of depth, and it was filled up to here with roots, then where you should have this much water in the bottom, most of that's flowing on top of the roots. Well, the liner's only here. So it was going over the low spot, which happened to be under the bridge. All right.
Yep.
So I think we've fully explained that. The second video we're going to show you with audio. I kind of described it as I was taking it on that day. So let's go ahead and watch that.
All right.
Okay, a lot of cutting and fighting and pulling and oh my gosh, but we got this big mass out that was here. It was actually growing under these rocks that are held in place with waterfall foam. I didn't want to disturb that because I don't have everything with me to replace it. We were finally able to do it with the help of my amazing assistant. And you can see the water level now all the way down through the stream is great. We just got to put some rocks and gravel back in so that it looks nice. And just for the record, forgive the crazy camera angles, but this is what was in there, and that's how big it was going in. And so all of that was sucking water out as it fed itself, and also creating a dam which backed up the water. And yeah, it weighs a lot too. But we got it. So we'll put everything back together, including the bridge, and hopefully the homeowner will be in good shape now.
So you could see there, I forgot to mention earlier, there were also landscape lighting wires going through there. And so as we were trying to cut, I mean, these roots, it's not like you could just grab them and pull them out.
Right.
There were rocks in there, which you'll see in a minute. The roots had grown around the rocks, making it very heavy, but also there's folds in the liner, and they were growing in and under. Didn't go through the liner, but if the liner did this, which sometimes you just have to do to make it fit the shape, the roots grew under and just kind of locked it in. And it was just crazy to get it out. And while we're cutting and pulling and ripping, we're trying not to cut any wires, not to cut the liner, because obviously that would be bad. So it was crazy.
Yeah, I had to take the roots and kind of make some space so I could cut the roots and not cut that lighting wire, because it was just surrounding it.
Yeah,
and there was no way to pull the wire out. You had to cut it free. And so again, I spent a lot of time just carefully cutting through.
Yeah,
trying to cut root but not wire.
Yeah, and none of that was easy to cut. The stuff that was this big around, we had to saw through it. And even the smaller stuff, we have hand, pruners that we're cutting with, but even the fine roots are like really wiry and hard. It was a mess. It was a lot. We thought we were going to be there maybe 20, 30 minutes and find the leak and fix it.
We had no idea. Yeah.
I think it was between 3 and 4 hours.
Yep.
To get all of that out. And that big massive root that I just showed you, we got 3 of those out, approximately all the same size.
I could not lift that one by myself.
Yeah.
And I can
And
lift a lot.
you're strong.
Yeah. I could. I was
You
like,
do
wow.
this kind of stuff all the time with
cannot
me.
lift that.
It was a mess.
It was crazy.
I want to kind of show you our third video here will give you an idea of what yeah, go ahead and start that one. This was all of the garbage that we got out of the stream. So that root mass, there were 2 of those. You can see them on the ground there. There was a third one in the wheelbarrow, plus the greenery on top of that. And then those 2 garbage bags are just full of vegetation that we pulled out. And you can see the finished product in the back. I'm going to give you a better look at that here in just a second. But it's hard to believe all of that was in there.
Yeah.
But then when you know that it was, then it's not hard to believe that it was causing a leak because
it's not hard to believe there was no room for water.
it took
at
up all the room that
Yeah.
the water was supposed to occupy.
Yeah. Maybe it was just the snake. Maybe that was the straw that broke the camel's back. It could have just one snake too many.
When the snake went in the water,
Yeah,
that was what?
that was it.
The displacement of the
Yep.
snake. Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
think that was
Not
it.
the 5 bags of trash.
Let's look at video number 4, and we can see here where everything is back together. And there's the upper pond. We put the rocks back in, did our best with what we had to work with to cover up the liner. There's the small bridge back in place. I don't know if the snake was back under there by then or not.
I mean, I would have put him back if he would have come to my calls, but
Yeah,
snaky
you would.
snaky didn't work. So
Okay. He's probably back under there by
he
now.
probably is.
And probably 24 hours or so, that water will clear up. It was pretty clear when we got there. I always hate mucking up the water, but there's no way around it when you're doing all that.
Right, because there's some beautiful pond. Well, you can almost see the fish in that top pond. Do you see a little flicker of color?
But it's pretty. You
they're
know,
beautiful.
You feel like you're in
Yeah.
the woods when you're actually in a subdivision, and you can even, if I had played the audio on that, you can even kind of hear it's close to the highway.
Yeah.
So there's all of that going on right, practically outside the front door, but you feel like you're kind of in the woods and just having a great time with the water feature, nature, and the birds and all the things, the snakes,
Yeah.
So hopefully our homeowners are in good shape now. We haven't heard from them. That's been a couple of weeks. So
Yeah.
I think
No news is good news.
I think that took care of it. So, well, did you want to say something about Rob before we jump into this video?
It was really fun to watch you guys. You had mentioned you really liked watching Meredith and I do our interview. And yeah, it was so fun. We just sat off to the side and we watched you guys. And I was just thinking that, Rob has been a part of my life since I was 14 years old.
Wow.
So like I said, Meredith
That's a long time ago.
She's older than me. I was in middle school when they were dating and getting married. Mm-hmm. And he's just always been a great part of our life, and I'm really thankful for him. And it was just it was really fun to watch you guys do that interview. So
yeah,
it's just great. That was a first. They're like slipping off my head.
Are you losing your gear there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Get it together.
Well, while Hillary does that, I think without any further ado, we should just watch the video. So here is my interview with my brother-in-law, Rob Kendall. Well, Rob, welcome to the David and Hillary Show.
It's good to be here.
It's great to have you. And as Hillary kind of joked last episode, as she interviewed your wife, her sister, that was the Hillary and Meredith show. I guess this is the
Yes.
Dave and Rob show.
The Dave and Rob Show. It's got a good ring to it.
I like it. I think it's going to be good. Well, it's great to have you, and we're thankful that you and Meredith are kind of faithful watchers of the podcast. So it's awesome to have you on this side of the camera. For people that don't know us, we're not related by blood, but we married sisters.
Yes.
So if anybody did see the last episode, that was my wife and your wife, who are sisters,
Yes.
daughters of the same parents. And you and I did not grow up in the same community or even the same state, didn't know each other at all until later in life, you and Meredith were married, and
I think we met you on the day you married Hillary. Did we meet before that?
no, I have a story about that.
Oh,
actually.
okay.
We were at the girl's mom's house with the mom and the stepdad, and I don't know who does or doesn't want their names mentioned on the podcast, because we get people that say, please don't talk about us on the podcast. Hillary and I were dating. We weren't even engaged yet.
Oh, okay.
And you and Meredith have 3 daughters.
Yes.
Who at that time were probably, I don't know, 8, 10, 6.
Yeah, that's
10,
been
8,
right.
10, 8, 6.
Yeah.
Makes more sense if
No,
you say it. in
Hillary's
American
saying
order.
younger.
Younger, okay,
The
even
studio
younger.
audience is saying they were younger.
So we were at the house, and you guys had, which was in Michigan. You had driven up from Tennessee, and I was, I'm an introvert, so I'm always a little nervous to meet new people. And I found out later that I think you put them up to this, but your daughters, who are pretty much all extroverts, came in the house without ever having been formally introduced to me, ran through the house and said, Uncle David, and jumped in my lap. And it was, for an introvert, and like I said, we weren't even engaged yet. I was like, they're calling me Uncle David, and I don't even know them.
I actually don't remember that. It sounds like something I would do, but it also sounds like my girls also, because we're
Okay.
all extroverts. I will make a friend in the grocery line. I'll
Yeah.
talk to anybody anywhere. So,
Well, when we moved to Tennessee and started meeting people, they all already knew you. We used to call you the mayor of Franklin, the unofficial mayor of Franklin.
Yes. When we used to go to our Thursday morning breakfast, I
Yep.
would walk in the first 20 minutes, walking around the restaurant,
Right.
saying hi to people that I knew. Yeah.
Yeah, which is awesome. So this has nothing to do with mostly what we want to talk about, but just because people who are watching are going to wonder, can you tell us what you did to your arm?
Yes. I was playing left field in a 50-plus softball league. The ball was hit. It was a little down and outside, and I lost my balance. And instead of just tucking and rolling like I should have, after I did make the catch, I saw the guy tag at second and start to run. So off balance, I threw the ball and then went down and landed on my shoulder. Fractured and dislocated my shoulder, and then passed out from the pain.
Oh my gosh.
And I've had an MRI, but I don't know if there's rotator cuff damage. But I think it's getting better. I can move it some, and
Yeah.
it's been right at a week and a half.
Well,
So.
I hate to. I coached one of my daughter's soccer teams a few years ago, and didn't realize, like, I do landscaping all the time, but
Yeah.
I'm just using a shovel, using a rake, carrying mulch. I'm doing, I'm digging holes for ponds. It's not that aerobic. And
Sure.
so when this was probably 7 or 8 years ago, I didn't realize how out of shape I was.
Sure.
And we're at practice, and I'd never coached before. I'm so excited to be doing this. And we're doing drills and stuff. And I'm like, no, do it like this. And I start running around trying to show them what to do. And after about 30 seconds, I'm like, got my hands on my knees. I'm just sucking air so bad. I get like, I didn't realize I was that out of shape.
That's one of the
So-
reasons I play softball. And it was the first game of the season. I batted one time. I hit a line drive single over second base. So I batted 1,000 for the season.
Oh my gosh, that's
And
amazing.
I handled left field perfectly. So there you go.
Stats can lie, but
Stats can lie. Absolutely.
but technically you batted 1,000.
Technically, I batted 1,000 for the season.
That's amazing. Well, one other little trivia thing about us that I always thought was interesting was that we didn't know each other. Our parents didn't know each other, but we were born 10 days apart.
10 days apart. One of us happens to be older than the other.
Yep.
Not that that's a bragging point or anything, but
Right.
I'm older.
The older we get, the less of a bragging point it is.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And we both had very similar upbringings.
We did. We
You know,
did.
very Wesleyan theology and very loving but firm
Yes.
parents that were very. Mine were probably a little more legalistic than yours were, but it created a really good foundation for later in life.
Well, that's maybe an interesting topic for another time. Where does legalism begin and end, and where does holiness begin and end?
Oh yeah,
Because it could be the search for holiness often leads to legalism, but
yep.
how do you know? Or I don't think we're going to get into that today.
That
but
would be a good one though.
yeah. Well, speaking of trying to be holy, Hillary and Meredith had a great conversation about being a Christian and being a believer in Jesus and a follower of Jesus. You have been in full-time ministry, off and on, but mostly on for several years now.
23.
Yeah. And that started, I think, with Against the Grain
Yes.
Ministries.
Yes.
So how did Against the Grain, I'll ask you two questions and I'll just let you talk as long as you want about it, but how did Against the Grain start, and really explain to people what that was?
Go back to 2002. Meredith and I both owned our own companies. I had a remodeling company, 9 crews working for me, very successful. Meredith was a real estate agent, so I tell people we were Chip and Joanna Gaines before Chip and Joanna were cool.
Right.
I would fix up houses for her to sell, or we would fix up houses of clients that had just purchased the houses. And in January of 2002, she was driving past a neighborhood here in Franklin, and she called me and she said, "Rob, if this is the American dream, we've been lied to." And I was living and loving the American dream at that point in time. I thought trying to remember if we had anchovy pizza the night before. But then she hit me with the harder part. She said, "I want you to take a year off of work and figure out what God wants to do with his family."
Wow.
Long story short, we argued. I lost. Beginning of April 1st.
I've been there.
Well, and you know, the kick in the stomach was, she said, you lead this family financially, you lead this family morally, you lead this family in so many ways. Now lead us spiritually.
Okay.
And that hurt.
Wow.
And that's when I went, all right, okay, I'll do it. So beginning April 1st of 2002, I committed to take a 1-year sabbatical, ending on my birthday of March 31st. 2003. And as we were coming to the end of that year, me studying and reading and praying, and just, man, so many passages of the Bible that had been just stories of the Bible, they just kind of became real and they jumped off the page. It was so cool. I mean, I read Genesis in a day. Just sat and read the entire book of Genesis. The next day I read the book of Exodus. I would go through an entire book in a day. There were other times I would spend a week on a single verse for that year. It was just amazing. My grandfather had been an evangelist, and so we thought, okay, I could become an evangelist and begin to travel and teach and preach.
Right.
And as we were coming up to the end of the year, Meredith developed a relationship with a single mother in generational poverty. And she came home from a women's retreat that she had spent with her and told me this young lady's story. And it was like everything I had read that year about serving the poor and helping them regain a footing and get on their feet just dropped into place. And I ran downstairs, flipped open my laptop, and wrote out an outline. And I handed it to her. She started crying and said, "This is exactly what I thought we should do."
Oh, wow.
So,
There's confirmation for you.
that was pretty good confirmation. We don't do things independently. If the Lord's going to speak, he needs to do it, both of us at the same time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, it works well.
Yeah. Well, and so Hillary and I saw some of that, and you helped a lot of people. You also wrote a book about it. And, part of that highlighted how difficult it can be.
Absolutely. The book's called Breaking the Broken, Debunking the Myth of Social Justice. We're not supposed to give things to people. We're supposed to equip them to stand on their own. It's a very biblical model. You know, God gave Adam a job before the fall, which means we gain something from working that's more important than money.
Right.
We gain self-esteem. We gain just so many things. You know, at the end of the day, you can say, wow, I accomplished something today. And there's that pride in that we work and we care for ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, that was our model of ministry, is we would help people find the resources, the opportunity, and the instructions that they needed to stand on their own. And we did it all through relational channels. It worked really well. Wrote the book. And then I wrote the book in 2016, but I started traveling in 2012 doing the book as a seminar.
Okay.
And then we were equipping churches to do what we had been doing here in Franklin. We started doing it all over the country.
Yeah. And then you had another kind of, I think it was under that same heading, but when did the 180 program come in?
Well, the 180 program was the curriculum that we wrote.
Okay. All right. That's what I was thinking.
Which is what we used at Against the Grain, which we eventually changed the name to Advancing the Gospel. It was still ATG, but everybody started going gluten-free, and they were against the grain. And there were bars called against the grain and pizzas called against the grain. So we changed it to advancing the gospel.
Right, right. And so the 180 program was basically helping people turn their lives around.
Absolutely.
In another
Life
direction.
transformational curriculum.
Yeah. One of the things I loved was just to help people understand if you always do what you always done, you'll always get what you always got. And if
Absolutely.
you want a better life, you're going to have to make some changes and,
Yes.
and be going in a different direction.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was very personalized.
Mm-hmm.
The questions actually helped them create a plan of what they wanted to do with their life.
Yeah.
And overcome the challenges that were holding them down. So it was a lot of fun. We did it for a lot of years.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. So talk to me a little bit about your current ministry passion.
Currently, discipleship and outreach.
Okay.
I have, in 2018, I stepped away from ATG and Meredith took over for a couple of more years. We moved to Florida and planted a church.
Mm-hmm.
I was the lead pastor. COVID killed it in 2020.
COVID killed a lot of things.
COVID killed a lot of things. But discipleship and outreach or evangelism are really the two passions that I have. And, you know, we see this pattern in the church where we want people to come to church, they start to get involved, they become a Christian, and then they're just left. There is nothing there. Well, the Great Commission does tell us to go and make disciples in Matthew 28, but then it says, teaching them to obey everything I commanded you.
Okay.
So that's the discipleship side of it. And your evangelism should feed into discipleship, and then your discipleship should feed back into evangelism, because you should equip them to go into all the world to make more disciples.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I think discipleship is lacking in a lot of places.
It is. But, you know, really, when you think about it, what we were doing with these young ladies, these single mothers, was a form of discipleship.
Right.
We were walking with them in life and helping them figure out how they could live life differently. And in a lot of ways, I mean, a lot of them still call me dad. Their kids call me papa. And in a lot of ways, it's parenting, which is kind of the relationship you even see with Paul and Timothy in the New Testament, where he says, Timothy, my son.
Yeah.
And discipleship in a lot of ways is a mentor and a mentee, or a parent and a child in the faith anyways. Yeah. And you're going to help equip that child to go from eating or drinking milk to going on to solid food and eventually eating meat and going out and reproducing their faith in the lives of other people.
Yeah. Well, that's really well put. That's a great analogy. I love that. Well, one of the things you and I happened to talk about recently, and I know you have a passion for it because you have a passion for studying the Bible, but talk a little bit about the different versions of the Bible that are out there that you like, and why you like them.
Sure. So when I study Scripture, I'll use a King James. I'll use the ESV, which is the English Standard Version, and I use the NIV, are the three main ones that I use. The reason I use the King James Version is because it's a great word-for-word translation. Mm-hmm. And on my Bible app that I have on my computer, eSword, I can go to the King James Plus, and it has the Hebrew or Greek number next to every word. And if you just float your mouse over that number, it'll pop up the Strong's definition. If you click on it, you can get all kinds of information about that specific word.
Wow.
The NIV is the best thought for thought.
Okay.
And so the ESV, I think, did a really good job of marrying those two, where they try to stay as close as they can to the word for word, but they continue that thought for thought idea as well. So when I teach, depending on the setting, I will either use the NIV or the ESV, but the ESV tends to be my fallback. That's the one that I pay attention to the most.
Okay. And what is the software that you use?
It's called eSword, and it's absolutely free to anybody that you can download it. I think it's e-sword.net or com or org or something like that.
We'll find it, and we'll try to put a link in the description in case anybody wants to download that.
Yeah, it's a great resource.
Yeah. Well, I know I remember when I was a kid and we had a lot of children's ministries. My dad was a pastor. I've talked about that on the podcast before, but we did all kinds of things with the Bible, including memorization. And but when I was pretty young, it was King James.
Oh yeah.
And I just really, I always thought, why is it talking like this? And then when I got older, I'm like, I mean, the Bible's basically in Shakespeare language. What is that about? Why, and I come from a long line of pastors, so I would be with my grandparents, and my grandfather would actually pray in like a King James style speech pattern. And it just all seemed kind of odd to me. And then I don't know exactly with the first version of the NIV when that came out, but at some point my dad as a pastor picked up on that and liked that and started using it. And then it kind of filtered down from the pulpit to the children's ministry. And then of course I had a living Bible, which was good too. But then, I did most of my reading through my later elementary and high school and college and all of that in the NIV. And so I think now in 2025, I mean, there's so many versions out there, but I think it's important. There are parts of the Bible that are pretty hard to understand anyway.
Absolutely.
Part of God is mysterious. Some of the teachings are, you're kind of like, oh man, I need somebody to explain this to me. It's kind of crazy. So to me, when you're just reading it, you at least need to be able to understand the language.
Absolutely.
And then I think at times when, I'm not like trying to make a thing about the King James, but I think that sometimes when you're reading a version like that, you just be like, I don't even know what I just read.
Well, absolutely. I mean, just a quick example of that, it would talk about a charger in the Old Testament. It meant a horse.
Okay.
You hear the word charger now and you're thinking, I got to plug my phone in.
Yeah, right.
So words, the meaning of words change over time.
Sure.
I do like at least sticking to the scripture, and I don't like the paraphrases and I do a lot of commentaries, but even the commentaries I do tend to be a little bit more old school. So.
Yeah. Well, that's understandable. It's one of those things that if we want to have a class about trying to understand one of Shakespeare's plays, everybody can have their own opinion, and it's hard to argue that your opinion is wrong. Maybe you get something out of it that Shakespeare didn't even intend, but if you like that, then whatever. But when we're reading and studying the Bible and trying to apply it to our lives, I think it's important that we get it right.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's I say often when I teach that the Bible is our first source and final authority in all matters.
Right.
The Bible is the one thing we've got to get right because it's truth.
Yeah, absolutely. It's truth, and it's from the one true God that created us, and it's important that we know what His message is to us.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, do you have, speaking of the Bible, do you have a life verse or even a motto, life motto?
Well, there are a couple of things. When we started ATG, Romans 12, do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you will know the will of God, His good, pleasing, and perfect will. And that's where we came up with the name Against the Grain. We're not supposed to go with the flow of society. We're supposed to go against the grain. Probably the Great Commission, go into all the world and make disciples, baptizing them, teaching them to obey. That's probably my biggest fallback one. My life motto or my life creed, whatever you want to put it, a relentless pursuit of obedient disciples of Christ. That's an eight word summary of the Great Commission, is that we will relentlessly pursue and help people become obedient disciples of Christ.
Wow, that's really good. I like, say those 8 words one more time.
A relentless pursuit of obedient disciples of Christ.
Yeah.
And I actually heard that from a church planting group that I do some training with, called CDN, Church Development Network, and that's the motto for their organization. And they're great guys, and I just said, all right, I'm taking your motto. I like it.
That's good.
It's the screensaver on my phone, and have little things like that as reminders around the house often.
That's good. That's good. So I think the question everybody really wants to know is, are you done with softball?
Well, that seems to be a little bit of a touchy spot in our marriage. I probably, but I'm not willing to say yes yet. It's fun. I
Well,
love it. It's a great time out there playing.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Hillary and Meredith and you and I were talking about that a little bit, and Meredith kept trying to say you're done, and you kept saying that you weren't ready to say that. And I said, I think maybe that's not how you want to go out, is with an injury, if you can help it.
right. Let me get out there and make one more catch. So
Yeah.
I end on a high note instead of a fractured, dislocated shoulder.
There you go.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you being on the podcast. It's been
Absolutely.
fun.
This is good.
Yeah. We'll need to make sure and do it again. And I hope that we will. But for now, this has been David and Rob on the David and Hillary Show. And we'll see you next time.
See ya.